What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be installing some coil spacers for the FCJ80. Before we get into that, I just wanted to give an update on the Cummins. We are waiting for some parts to come in for the P-pump so we can install that into the timing gear. Once the P-pump is installed, then we can install the oil pump and the rest of the timing cover. We're going to be doing black paint on these sides here. Pretty much the whole block is going to be painted black. The timing cover is going to be in the Cummins beige, and the intake is going to be in the Cummins beige as well. I thought that would be kind of a cool accent. And then the turbo, we're going to finish polishing up with some high temp clear coat, so that'll be that aluminum color. P-pump, I'm debating whether or not to leave it kind of like it is now. It is aluminum, so it won't rust, or just paint it black. I'll probably just paint it black. Anyways, before we can get that put into the truck, before we get it pulled even, we still have to get the rest of the accessories on. So, you know, we've got water pump, oil pump, sleeve for the crankshaft here, which we will do, and we're actually going to have to make our own tool to install it because it did not come with one, which is fine. We already have all of our gaskets and everything, so we're just getting the rest of our accessories, and then this thing will be all ready to go. This is not advised to keep this open like this unless you're in a controlled environment, but I have to get a caulking gun to apply the RTV for the oil pan to adhere to it with the gasket. So anyways, that's what's going on with the Cummins. Today I am ordering the rebuild kit for the NV4500, so we're going to tackle that maybe next week. I'm not quite sure. We'll see when that comes in and when do we decide to do it. So it is being worked on. The bottleneck I ran into was just having to save for the extra parts, so it's about another $4 grand for all the accessories, the adapter plate, the input shaft or the main shaft, the rebuild kit for the transmission, and all the accessories and the clutch and all that fun stuff for the Cummins. So it is in the pipeline. So in the next few weeks here, we're going to be plugging away at that a little bit more, but basically it comes down to having to work more hours and drive more for Lyft and Uber. So anyways, just a quick update on that. So these are the Ironman 4x4 30mm coil spacers, and these go in the front because of the amount of weight I have on the front and the lack of weight in the back because I took off that rear swing out bumper that I had. I will be making another one. I'm debating whether to do the trail gear just as a template or as a base for what I want to add on to it as far as the swing out. I'm going to have to fabricate my own tire carrier for the 40-inch Nitto Mud Grappler on beadlocks because it's like a 160-pound tire wheel setup. So it's going to have, I'm envisioning kind of 3 fingers going underneath the tire. So if you can kind of like envision that as a tire, kind of like this, and then obviously having the mounting point for the bolt holes on the back. So that'll be coming eventually, but that's kind of something we're going to have to kind of guess with as far as our weight. I was getting sidetracked here. This video is about installing these Ironman 4x4 coil spacers. The issue we're going to have is these are all for the front. So we're going to install 2 per side. The reason for that being is when we have the Cummins in the engine bay, it's going to weigh down the frame about 300 pounds more than the stock. So what we need to overcome today is getting rid of this lip so that these will center correctly. It's definitely a redneck or makeshift way to do it, but that's fine. You can also get the Metaltech 4x4 coil spacers, which are made of steel, and those are 2 inches. This will end up being obviously 60 inches in a pair of 2. So before we do that, we need to swap the rear springs on the Land Cruiser because I believe they are incorrect. So let's go do that. All right, so through the power of sorcery and voodoo magic, we've managed to drop the axle without taking the links off. Bottle jacks on both sides of the frame, and jacks underneath the left and right portion right underneath the coils. Remember to undo this hole here and make sure those threads are doing decent before you redo all this. And sway bar, and then we're out. Well, we're down enough, far enough. And these are 6-inch coils, so this would work for any application really, because I don't know of any other coils that are longer than these, but these will literally, I don't know if I can do this with one hand, but as I mess up my brake line here. Okay, so you can see there, it's upside down, but it says near side, NS. So that would be passenger side in Australia. From, let's say right here, we're at about 10.5 inches from tire to wheel well here, and we're at about 9 1/4 here. So that's 1.25 inch difference, thereabouts. Again, this isn't even, and that actually adds up because of the slope of this driveway, which, by the way, is the most level spot I have, unfortunately, here. So we'll get accurate measurements soon, but it does appear that the orientation, driver's side and passenger side, was correct. I was informed otherwise when I called Iron Man. So it looks like they did label them correctly, and me trying to go on my own knowledge did not work. So we're going to do the same with the front. The front needs to be swapped around because it might not come through on camera, but so we'll take the measurement here. Again, the ground isn't level, but it's definitely noticeable more on the front. Just about 8.5. And then here it's really bad. It's not even 6 inches, so real close. So we need to get coils swapped out. Swap our coils out. All right, so the same as in the rear, we've got our 2 bottle jacks on the frame sides, and we have our jacks underneath the parts of the axle that we want to droop. We've removed our panhard bar at the axle location, that bolt. What we want to do now is take out the bottom nuts retaining the shock bodies so that they don't bottom out and it doesn't give us trouble, because we're going to need a lot of axle droop in order to get the coils out. So I've gone ahead and taken an angle grinder. As ugly as it looks, I'm going to get all this peeled off, and then since this doesn't have that centering ring on it, it'll allow me to stack these. They're not, I wouldn't advise doing this at home. Just get the Metal Tech ones. I was stubborn and wanted to do it with these because I like Iron Man stuff. So it'll go like this. I was going to zip tie it, but then I realized can't really zip tie that, unfortunately. But I believe that these will self-center around the bump stop. Yeah, that's going to push up in there really nice. All right, guys, she is all put back together. There's still the lean, but it does look slightly better, and it is also because of our driveway. So what I ended up doing was putting 2 pucks on this side. So that's going to be 60 mil on this side, and then about 30 mil on this side. And I did swap the springs. So we'll see once I get it on level ground. It looks funky, but just bear with me here. We're going to go fill it up with gas, and then we're going to go get on a level surface, and then we'll see how it looks from there. All right, so there she sits. I ended up going with 2 pucks, so 60 mil on the driver's side and 30 mil on the passenger side. And I'd have to say it looks just about even. I think it should be perfectly even. This is with a full tank of gas, 25 gallons of gas, so I don't know really how much that weighs, but it's a lot. I'll go out and do a measurement here, but for now that's going to do the trick. It's at least looks a little bit better. I wanted to be able to see some of that wheel well, and I wasn't able to, and I was actually rubbing on the tire a little bit. So that's the worst thing that could possibly happen, is to start to mash into your new $700 each tires. So anyways, guys, those leveling pucks are a really good option if your truck is a little wonky. These do have that stink bug, obviously, look from the factory, which is going to be like this, from basically being designed to tow, which is fine, but we wanted to get rid of some of that. So next week we're going to do a little bit more work on the Cummins, installing some accessories and turning up the feed pump, as well as potentially seeing Matt's right-hand drive 80 series with the Cummins swap drive for the first time. So make sure you tune in for that. 90% of my viewers are not subscribed. That hurts, guys. That really hurts. Until next week, I will see you on the trails.